Hey friends, this is Dolany TV. I want to give a huge shout out to my man Patrick from the Oilers Fanatic as well. Thought today would be a fitting day to wear this shirt given the fact that the Oilers find themselves in a 2-2 series. Need a little bit of luck, and this is a shirt that makes me feel good, so we're going to see what happens. Obviously, the Oilers, the power of friendship, all that has got to come through for a 3-2 series lead, and we'll see where the Oilers take that. However, news today, out of left field, one might say, I know in this next tweet I'm about to show you, it says the continued rumors, but ain't I ever heard this, and I'm usually pretty well tuned to all of this, so we'll see kind of where this takes us over the course of the summer, but everybody knows, everybody that didn't fall for the April Fool's joke knows that Ken Holland's tenure as GM is up this summer following the playoffs. And well, with that, we go to this tweet here talking about Ken Holland of the Columbus Blue Jackets not quieting down anytime soon. Maybe a long run to the final would change things, but there are many who feel he could be headed to Columbus to fill the GM vacancy there and mentor Rick Nash to eventually take over. Obviously, if Ken Holland becomes the general manager in Columbus, that's no shock to the Oilers fans who know that his tenure here is done. His tenure here was more or less done by the time Jay Woodcroft was fired, right? If you've tuned into Dolany TV long enough this season, you would know that my feelings, my indications within the Oilers organization are that Jeff Jackson, when Jay Woodcroft was fired, took full control of the Oilers organization, hockey ops, and from there on out, Ken Holland was more or less along for the ride because for his storied tenure in the NHL, it's kind of rude to kick him out on the street in the final year of his contract. So that's just kind of the general consensus this brain put together. Whether it's true or not remains to be seen, but that is, of course, from the way I've viewed everything over the years, the way it appears to be. So that said, friends, if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button here on Dolany TV. I'd love to have you aboard, especially tonight for Game 5's broadcast. I can promise you it will be a little bit different, maybe a little less all ages friendly, depending on how you view certain things that you might see on camera. That said, I'm not promising anything crazy. I'm just promising we will have at some point during the live stream a special co-star along for the ride, maybe a color man if he's feeling so inclined this evening as we get set up for game number 5 and try to vary things a little bit different here on the channel. That said as well, friends, we go back to the tweet here about Ken Holland. I think it's Patrick from the Oilers Fanatic who's been really feeding me towards the Hunter brothers there in London who are on to the Memorial Cup. They may be the guys that kind of come in here and solve up the next tenure of general managers in Edmonton. That said, still lots remains to be seen. Ken Holland, though, like I said, likely out the door no matter what, whether he retires or whether he goes to Columbus. So interesting that Columbus would be looking at a guy like Ken Holland, but again, Columbus has got some pieces. They've got some really good young talent, just like the Oilers did way back when Ken Holland took over, and now it's about putting it together. And to really capitalize on what Ken Holland has done as an Edmonton Oilers GM is he has yet to miss the playoffs, per se, right? The play-ins, depending how you view that. I still view it as playoffs because we got invited. There were 24 teams, and we were one of them, not the other 8 in 2020. But when it comes down to it on that front, right, the Oilers, right, you kind of get that situation out there where the Oilers haven't missed the postseason appearances since Ken Holland was GM. Chicago in 2020, Winnipeg 2021, right? 2022 you had LA, Calgary, Colorado. 2023 you had LA, Vegas. 2024 so far you've had LA, Vancouver. And this team, from an Edmonton Oilers fan standpoint, yes, I know what we've got. I know what team we have. I know everything. This team is capable of achieving the ultimate prize in the final year of Ken Holland's contract, which one might say we hope we would have been there sooner. Lots of things have happened along the way that have handcuffed that, and so would say a lot of other teams as well. But the big thing you got to look here when it's saying, I think Patrick summed it best, it's not a great job by Ken Holland. It's more or less a good job because prior to Ken Holland, we had one playoff appearance in the past 10, 11 years, right? 10, 12 years, depending how you look at the lockout. Ken Holland's delivered playoffs 5 years in a row, all 5 years of his tenure. That in and of itself is a pretty remarkable clip for any Edmonton Oilers GM. You look back at who's the GM over the years where the Oilers were achieving those kind of stats. Those are some pretty big names in the Oilers hockey circles, right? So there's a few Hockey Hall of Famers, maybe not for general manager contribute. Well, one maybe as contributions, but Kevin Lowe certainly not. But you kind of get where we're going, right? You kind of go back to those guys achieving playoffs. It's pretty incredible. So yeah, we'll see obviously what the Oilers have in store tonight, but I thought we'd talk about this beforehand and get this up and have something for you prior to the pregame. And away we go, friends. I'll be live at 7:25 tonight. Like I said, special guest joining us about 7:30, 7:45 as we get set up for the Oilers and Canucks Game 5. Be here on Dollar TV. I am up on out of here.